Hello and welcome to Jumpstart Code. These series of videos will help you learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but we're going to start off with HTML. I am Pamela Price, your learning coach, and in this first video we need to talk about what you need and how to prepare your environment for the remaining videos. Creating web pages requires learning a language called HTML. And HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. And it is the language used to describe the content that is shown in your web page, in your browser. All you need to get started with HTML is two things: a smart editor, a text editor, and a browser. And then I'm just going to talk to you about your process and how you should set things up. You can use any kind of a text editor. Notepad is a very basic text editor that is found on Windows systems. As a matter of fact, I am working in a Windows environment. But what you want is a smart text editor. And I'll show you in a second what that means. And so here are some of the suggestions: Brackets, Sublime, Atom, or Notepad++. I use Brackets. And so let me show you where you can find Brackets. If you go to Brackets Editor, then you will find the site brackets.io. And from that point, you can download this text editor. Now, I already have it set up on my machine. The other thing that you will need is a browser. And I'm sure you're familiar: Internet Explorer, Chrome, Firefox, Safari. These are all browsers that you can use, but the one that I want to suggest that you use is Chrome. It has very good tools that are useful when you are trying to debug. And then you need to understand a little bit about how to set up files and how to organize files. I'm going to get you started in just a second. HTML is a language, and so it has syntax, and that means that you have to pay close attention to detail and you have to have patience for troubleshooting. HTML is not a case-sensitive language, but some languages are. I would suggest just get in the habit of typing in lowercase, because for the most part commands in other languages are in lowercase as well, with small exceptions. All right, so let's get started with how to set up your environment. So what I want you to do is create a folder on your desktop, which will be for all your projects. So I'm calling this folder My Projects. I just did right-click, New Folder, and created a folder. And every time you create a new project, I want you to go into this folder, and I want you to create a folder for your new project. So I'm going to call this Lesson 1. Right? Now, inside of Lesson 1 folder is where we will be putting our HTML file. So let's start up Brackets, and I want to point Brackets to that file. So I'm going to open Folder and go find on my desktop My Projects. And then when I get to the folder that I want to put files in, just single click, do not double click. And now Brackets is pointing to that folder. And over here, if I show you, if we go inside that folder, you see there's nothing in it right now. We're about to put a file in it right now. So let's go to Brackets, let's go to File New. And as soon as we say File New, let's go ahead and save this with the name that we want. And so I'm going to call this lesson1.html. You have to put the HTML extension so that the browser understands what it is. And also, this now means that your editor will be able to help you a little bit with syntax. So the basic structure of an HTML file starts with doctype HTML. And for some of these things, you know, the why of why this is the command is not what's most important right now. You'll notice the angle brackets. These are tags, and in HTML everything is done by using these tags which describe the content. Now you notice when I typed in the HTML tag, the brackets editor helped me out and provided the closing tag. Almost all of the tags in HTML have to have a closing tag that has this bracket on it. So all of the content of my page is going to be within these two tags. Now, every web page needs a head section, and again, brackets set up the closing tag for me. Now also notice when I'm making a new line, I'm going to the end of the line and then hitting an enter key. That is going to help me to have proper indenting of my code. All of these things are contained inside of my web page, and so that's why they're indented. Now we're going to do two things in here. Inside of head, we're going to put a title. We'll call it lesson 1. All right. Inside of the body, let's put some content. My first web page. All right. So here's our first page. This is everything that we're going to have in this first page. Now let's save it. Go to Save All, and let me go to my Google window over here, my Chrome window, sorry. So I've got my brackets window, my Chrome window. Here is my File Explorer, and you'll see that the lesson 1 file is in there now. If you right click on it and go open with Google Chrome, you will see what we just did. All right, so let's just do a quick little review before we end this video and go on to the next one. So notice the title, whatever we put in the title gets put in the tab here. So that's not a requirement, but that's something that's often useful. And then here's the content, my first web page, which is the content here. You probably want to know about how to set up fonts and sizes and colors and all of those things, but we'll be getting to that later. Again, notice if I change something here, if I add something here, and then I go Save All, we refresh the page, we can see whatever changes that are there. Right? I'm just using the Control+ to make that bigger so that you can see it. So this is your first basic web page, your first HTML document, and the contents of what it did. We will continue from this in the next lesson.